You're watching ABC10 Plus This Week.
Hi, I'm Alex Bell, and you're watching ABC10 Plus This Week. Farmers Insurance lifts its cap on new California home insurance policies as debate over access grows. And California and the White House clash over who sets national AI safety regulations. Then, of course, we hit the backroads. John Bartel takes a drive down the twistiest road around San Francisco's Lombard Street. ABC10 Plus This Week starts right now. And the state of California spent more than 5 years and $450 million upgrading our aging 911 system, only to overhaul its plan and face spending more time and taxpayer money. ABC10's Becca Habecker joins us live in studio with more on this tonight. Becca?
Yeah, Alex, the California Office of Emergency Services published a new report this month shedding light on why it paused the statewide rollout of what it calls Next Generation 911. The Sacramento Bee broke this story. And tonight, we show you how much taxpayers have paid so far, what we have to show for it, and how much more this project could cost.
911 emergency, what are you reporting?
Throughout the state, California has about 450 emergency dispatch centers, also known as public safety answering points or PSAPs. California's overall system, what connects all these emergency services, is more than 50 years old. That's why in his first week as governor in 2019, Gavin Newsom vowed to modernize what he called the state's antiquated 911 system. Cal OES led the charge, choosing a unique regional approach with multiple vendors so an outage in one area wouldn't become an outage statewide. From 2019 to 2024, Cal OES says the state paid more than $450 million upgrading to what it calls Next Generation 911. But earlier this year, Cal OES paused the plan. A newly released Cal OES report sheds light on what happened. The good news, system upgrades are in place at every dispatch center statewide, it says, allowing dispatchers to better pinpoint a caller's location and receive text to 911. However, only 23 of the PSAPs have begun the migration for voice calls, and those 23 centers ran into significant operational disruptions, the report says. Cal OES found dispatchers had to handle incoming calls from both the old and new systems while transitioning over, which is a time-consuming and risky process during emergencies. It found the regional system creates interdependencies, delaying issue resolution, so Cal OES paused the rollout and is scrapping the regional plan in favor of a statewide approach. They'll seek just 2 contractors in a process starting early next year, which means more money and more time.
How long have we been paying for the Next Gen system?
I believe it was in the 2019-2020 budget, and that includes the installation of the infrastructure across the 447 PSAPs.
And how long did we say then it was going to take?
The last time we were before this body, we assumed that we would be completed by the end of this year.
The new Cal OES report says it now plans to complete the transition to statewide Next Generation 911 by 2030. The report doesn't give a cost estimate, but the Sacramento Bee talked with the chief operating officer of one of the vendors paid by the state to build the now scrapped regional design, who said the change will cost taxpayers even more money, estimating hundreds of millions more. The Cal OES report says the expenditures between 2019 and fall 2025 for Next Generation 911 in California were substantial but not lost. The intent will be to build upon a large component of the infrastructure that already exists. I reached out to Cal OES and the governor's office today for comment. Cal OES did not get back to me by deadline, and the governor's office directed me to Cal OES. Alex?
All right, Becca, thank you. Welcome back in. California and the White House are at odds once again, this time over safety regulations on artificial intelligence companies. ABC 10 State Matters political reporter Jenny Huh has the latest on this ongoing debate on Capitol Hill.
It's a debate over state versus federal authority when establishing AI regulations.
I think nobody's going to be right. Honestly, I think we got to do something. But what will be the right answer? Only history will tell.
That's tech expert Robert Miles with Grapevine MSP. Miles says the dilemma over how to make AI safer was inevitable, like the internet boom.
The government didn't do a great job of regulating that. It's been an open world.
There's growing movement to monitor social media and AI platforms, especially when it comes to protecting kids online. Lawmakers are also trying to hold tech giants like OpenAI, the founder of ChatGPT, and Meta, the owner of Facebook and Instagram, more accountable. But the big question remains, who gets to set the rules?
If the government, if we put too many regulations in 50 different states, that might stifle and slow our abilities to get to the new AI.
That's President Trump's stance, one federal standard. Trump is considering an executive order that would create a task force to challenge and do away with state AI laws and could penalize states by withholding federal funding. He's also supporting a move by Republicans in Congress to put a moratorium on state and local AI rules as part of the annual National Budget Defense Authorization Act. A push earlier this year for a 10-year moratorium failed.
But if the federal government isn't going to be as aggressive as states like California, then a lot of major states, including ours, are going to fight against that national standard.
And that's the other side of the debate. This past legislative session, California passed a historic package of online safety laws, including Senator Scott Wiener's SB 53. Governor Newsom says it helps fill the gap left by the federal government and could even become a model for the rest of the country. And that underscores just how complex and high stakes this debate really is.
And these are the folks who are inventing it and know the product way better than all of us, and definitely better than the lawmaker. And they won't agree.
California's state and federal representatives have already voiced opposition to the congressional moratorium. Jenny He, ABC 10.
All right, a possible sign of relief for California homeowners struggling to find insurance. Farmers Insurance is lifting the cap it had in place on new home policies, a limit that had been in place for more than 2 years. I want to bring in ABC10's Becca Habegger joining us live in studio. Becca, you've been following this very closely. Now we're seeing more updates here.
That's right. Farmers Insurance had been restricting how many new home insurance policies it could issue. Most recently, that was capped at $9,500 per month. But just days ago, the company announced it is lifting that cap immediately, a move that could signal an easing of California's insurance crisis. Anticipating an improved homeowners insurance market in California thanks to the spreading adoption of Insurance Commissioner Ricardo Lada's sustainable insurance strategy, Farmers Insurance will eliminate the cap on the number of homeowners insurance policies it offers in California effective immediately, the company said in a news release, adding the move signals continued confidence in California's insurance marketplace. Carl Sussman, founder of the Insurance Consumer Guidance Society, says Farmers' announcement sends a strong message.
They are telegraphing loud and clear that they are throwing down the gauntlet. They are here in California and they're ready to write.
The California Department of Insurance tells ABC10 Farmers' announcement marks now 6 insurance companies, including 4 of the state's top homeowners carriers, that have publicly committed to stay and grow in California.
The name brand companies that we recognize are Mercury Insurance, Travelers, Safeco, Allstate, State Farm, Farmers. When those start moving, all of a sudden people start taking notice. And Farmers is the first one of that, of the top 3, I suppose, of State Farm, Farmers, and Allstate to say, okay, we're in. We're all in.
Farmers also announced a rate increase request of just under 7%. It includes a bundled home and auto insurance discount rising to 22% from its current 15%.
California is at an insurance crossroad.
Commissioner Lada's sustainable insurance strategy, unveiled in September 2023, gives insurance companies tools and changes they've wanted for years. But in return, they must write a certain percentage of policies in counties or zip codes the Department of Insurance classifies as distressed. But some critics say the strategy has flaws. A recent New York Times investigation found that many areas the department deems distressed, like Placer County, aren't entirely high risk. Carmen Bulber, executive director of Consumer Watchdog, says insurers have been dropping customers since Lada announced his strategy and are now meeting the requirements of the sustainable insurance strategy by writing new policies in less risky parts of distressed areas. Consumer Watchdog filed a ballot measure newly approved for signature gathering that would require companies to offer homeowners insurance to properties that meet wildfire safety standards set by the insurance commissioner.
What we need is a path toward requiring insurance companies to sell to people again. We have a mandate in California, a guarantee that if you're a good driver, You get auto insurance from any insurance company you want to buy it from. If you're a wildfire-safe homeowner, you should have the same guarantee.
The California Department of Insurance tells ABC10 it does not comment on ballot initiatives since those are political matters. However, they object to Consumer Watchdog's critiques, pointing out that the sustainable insurance strategy underwent public scrutiny and hearings before going into effect, and that Consumer Watchdog, as the most frequent intervener in rate review hearings, financially benefits from the state's insurance regulations. Farmers also resumed offering condo and renters insurance last December, both impacted by California's insurance crisis. For homeowners hoping for coverage, these are moves in the right direction, but debates over access, affordability, and fairness are far from over. Alex?
All right, Becca, something we will always continue to cover.
Big families are gathering for the Thanksgiving holiday, but for some, heartbreak has a seat at the table. The family of fallen flight nurse Susie Smith continues to grieve. She's the Reach medical flight nurse from the Redding area who died from her injuries after last month's tragic helicopter crash on Highway 50 in Sacramento. Tonight, ABC10's Garjpal Sangha spoke with Susie's son to learn how their family is navigating their first holiday season without her, and how loved ones are determined to keep her legacy alive.
The holidays are supposed to be a time to slow down, be together, and to hold close people who matter most. For Gabriel Smith, this season now carries a new weight.
We're holding up as best we can right now. My mom prepared us for a lot for this.
Gabriel says his mom, Susie, lived with purpose and joy. He remembers dancing with her at Disneyland and how she made sure her family had memories. But this Thanksgiving, which the family celebrated Sunday because so many are first responders, the memories are carrying them through the sadness.
That absence is definitely felt. She's just, she was always quiet, but loud at just the right opportune moment. She would grab a roll or a biscuit and chuck it down the table at somebody, and there were Hawaiian rolls flying at the table this year as well.
Susie built a home where blood relatives and found family all felt welcomed.
All of us were hurting, but they all stepped up to make sure that we felt like there was still family there.
Gabriel still carries one of the Reach pins she tucked into her fly suit just to comfort scared kids. Now her family is making sure her mission lives on. They have launched the Our Angel That Flies Foundation, planning medical trips to Central America, just like Susie did, and creating a scholarship for future nurses.
She had a passion for, as she put it, mentoring the young bloods. So many amazing, amazingly strong women that needed a leg up, and she was there to help them.
But Gabriel says if there is one message his mom would want people to hear this holiday season, it's about connection and not letting love wait.
At any moment, life can be cut short. So don't wait to have that hard conversation. Don't wait to say, I'm sorry. I got to make sure that there were no broken bridges with us. Don't wait to tell somebody that you love them, because you never know when the last time's going to be.
The Smith family is doing just that, leaning on each other and holding on tight to the memories Susie gifted them. Garjpal Sangha, ABC 10.
And Smith says if you have extras, reach out to a neighbor who might be lonely and be that family for them. The Smith family also created the Our Angel That Flies Foundation in her memory, and if you'd like to learn more about it, you can find the link to that story on abc10.com.
Pain, confusion, and fear are just some of the common symptoms for people experiencing suspected chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE for short. But a new type of therapy is shining a light on ways to prevent and treat the disease. Tonight, we want to introduce you to a former athlete who says that this new therapy has had a life-changing impact.
I probably had at least 8 to 10 concussions in high school. We used to laugh about, oh, he's seeing stars, oh, you got your bell rung. Those are all signs of a concussion.
It was in high school when Rico discovered his love for football. As a linebacker, he was drawn to the game's intensity and strategy. He didn't just play football, he studied it and went on to play for Oregon State. But by the time he started,
I was up to probably 25 concussions, and I had had 3 hospitalized. I would go out and have my first hit at practice and then go puke in a corner because I was so disoriented and having balance issues. The migraines and head pressure I had, I was taking 1,200 milligrams of Advil a day.
The wear and tear on his body through the years would ultimately halt his professional career. But in 2021, as he entered his 40s, everything began to change. After a major family crisis, Rico suddenly found himself stressed and overwhelmed. Deep down, he knew his body was reacting to more.
I was having restless leg syndrome where I was literally tearing holes in my sheets. I was almost at the point where I needed assisted air. I would walk somewhere or just be sitting and just start sweating profusely. I had massive head pressure, tinnitus, just came out of nowhere. I was having light sensitivity, sound sensitivity, depression. I got to a point where even going to work, I was starting to have suicidal ideation. I was thinking about, driving off the bridge that crosses the Sacramento River, going to West Sac.
That's when Rico decided to get help. Every diagnosis seemed to point back to one thing: neurological issues. Rico sharing his brain scans revealed extensive damage.
One of the neurologists shared it with a fellow neurologist who didn't know my history. And the neurologists commented that they thought I was the victim of a gunshot wound to the head because I had had so much damage to the left frontal lobe of my brain.
Dr. Margaret Naser is a research professor of neurology at Boston University School of Medicine. She's extensively researched the effects of traumatic brain injuries and chronic traumatic encephalopathy, also known as CTE.
CTE is a progressive neurodegenerative disease where there is repetitive trauma to the brain itself. It happens over years and years.
There is no cure for CTE and currently no way to diagnose it in a living person. An official diagnosis can only be made after death through examination of brain tissue.
And they look at the brain and they find abnormal protein deposits. And as it goes over time, the whole brain is covered.
According to the Cleveland Clinic, CTE permanently destroys nerve cells in the brain, causing significant changes in behavior, mood, and cognitive function. CTE can affect memory, decision-making, and problem-solving. It can also impact the part of the brain responsible for emotional regulation, leading some people to experience anxiety, depression, mood swings, and thoughts of self-harm. Motor function can also be affected, causing balance problems and loss of coordination.
CTE has gained growing attention over the years, not just in professional athletes, but also in everyday people and veterans who have suffered repeated head injuries. Researchers are still trying to determine why CTE develops in some people, but not in others.
This is red and near infrared light.
In an effort to reclaim his life, Rico enrolled in a study through the University of Utah.
I didn't know how bad I was until I started doing some of these tests. I couldn't walk a straight line, couldn't do a figure-8 test. Memory tests, they'd show me pictures of a cat, a dog, a bird, a fish. I would remember, out of 8 things, I would remember maybe 1 or 2.
The study uses red light therapy developed by a company called V-Light.
Our devices are all recognized to be low-risk general wellness.
V-Light uses wavelength technology to shine light through the scalp and reach parts of the brain. It helps wake up cells and mitochondria to produce more energy to help the brain's cells heal.
In our case, we use one through the nose. It's the most logical way to reach the brain because there's nothing between the light source and the brain.
The company has conducted multiple studies involving people with traumatic brain injuries, Alzheimer's disease, and military-related head trauma, and is currently seeking FDA approval. Rico says after about 2 weeks of using the device, his sleeping, energy, and cognition started to improve.
I was able to do all those tests without issue. By the 6-month study, it was like game day.
Rico is hopeful about this new treatment, and he hopes by sharing his experience, it gives other people hope.
They're scared. Their families are scared. They want to keep their job. They're living in silence. They're suffering unneedlessly because they don't know what to do about it.
If you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would you say?
Well, it's interesting because when I first understood that this was the condition, I still was defending football because I love it. I love the game. I love what it did for me. I think about things that matter now, which is like seeing my daughter get married. Walk her down the aisle, or seeing my son be successful with his career? Is that 4 years or 8 years of playing a sport worth a lifetime of the pain? And I think there's a lot of changes in science right now. There's a lot of exciting things. Maybe CTE will eventually be something of the past. Maybe a combination of better safety practices with sport, limiting ages to play, treatments and protocols that work like this, that maybe future generations won't have to endure this.
Now, there is an NFL team evaluating this new treatment. Also, world champions and MVPs from tennis, basketball, UFC, MMA, just to name a few, have used V-Lite for a number of years. And I also just want to say, Rico, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. You were incredibly brave, and we are thrilled to see you doing so well.
If you love Zootopia, good news. Detectives Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are back for another adventure in Zootopia 2.
Yeah, the animated film now in theaters. ABC10's Mark S. Allen joining us live with more perfect family-friendly film for the Thanksgiving break.
Yep, it's an instant classic. I guarantee you're going to be watching it over and over on screens like this, but I suggest you go to the movie, see it on the biggest screen possible, because this movie is big. Over 200,000 characters, more characters than any other movie in Disney animation history, 178 unique characters, over 71 celebrity voices, one of which is Patrick Warburton. He's co-hosting a special edition this Saturday of Take a Look. I caught up with him to talk about all kinds of things. If you don't know who he is, he was Putty on Seinfeld, he's Kronk on Emperor's New Groove, and he's the guy from Soaring and California Adventure. We talked about all of that. Take a look.
It's fun to be a part of so many different Disney, things, but I'm a Disney file. I love Disney. I grew up on Disney. I mean, my earliest memories are Disney.
How old? Like, first time you went to Disneyland, how old?
Oh, I was like 5 or something, I think, Yeah.
All right, so go back and tell...
And I found a $5 bill that day. I remember that. Yes,
what?
Which was $1,000 back in the day.
Go back and tell that 5-year-old kid someday you're going to be an invaluable part of this park.
Yeah.
The boarding guy for Soaring.
I know, it's surreal. It is surreal. I know. I'm actually a part, and this is an irony. I was actually kicked out of Disneyland when I was about 20 years old because a buddy of mine and I decided to get off the People Mover while it was moving.
What?
Yeah. They stopped the ride. We were in Disney jail, which is, scary. And then we were escorted out of the park. And the irony that I have been the safety instructor on a Disney ride for over 20 years now is crazy.
That's insane.
Yes.
And the fine for that, probably $5?
Yeah, there's no fine. In fact, they didn't put our name on the list. Like, you couldn't come back for a year. You could have come back the next day, probably. Times were different back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Would get you kicked out forever. You try that move now, let alone the voice. They'd say, hey, you're that guy. Speaking of voices, so many great voices. Kehi Kwana's in this, as well as Jason Bateman and Jennifer Goodwin. I got to talk to the two leads in this film about what it meant to them and their families. Good to see you two.
Good to see you.
Mark. Fresh off this premiere, I don't know when I've had more fun. How is it for you? You've both done a lot, but not this.
No, and I was really excited. I saw it for the first time last night and just was knocked out. And most importantly, my kids were very impressed with me and my wife.
Aww.
Yeah, they loved it. They cried a little bit too.
So did they know you had done stuff before this?
Half familiar, yeah. They just weren't interested, but this they definitely wanted to come see, and they were not disappointed.
Aww.
Yeah.
And there's something about that room. I mean, the theatrical experience, we have to protect it. This is going to be a timeless classic, seen for years on every kind of screen. But you got to see it first on a big screen, right?
Absolutely. Well, it's such an immersive world. It's so fun to get lost in it. But that theater, by the way, particularly. I go to that theater to see all the Disney films.
Yeah, there's something magical about it. Other theaters should step up their game.
Yeah, have an organist.
Exactly.
And a stage show before.
And some curtains.
Yes.
Would it kill them?
They had about 6 curtains, didn't they?
Yeah, but they always do.
Really?
There's always it's always there's a curtain show.
Really?
Yes. Oh, you got to go to the movies there.
All right.
Yeah.
Exactly. That might have been what impressed your family the most.
Right, even more than me. They probably just liked the environment.
The last time I was in that theater, I took my now 19-year-old to go see Up. So she was maybe 6 or something like that. And when the dog started talking, the speaker thing, she stood up on her chair and she said, "We got to get out of here."
Wait, that's amazing.
Yeah, I reminded her of that. I said, "This was the theater." She said, "Oh my God."
By the way, that theater we're talking about, El Capitan in Hollywood, check it out. It's America's finest movie theater. Speaking of finest, Take a Look talks about this movie. It's Disney Animation's finest. An entire special episode this Saturday edition of Take a Look. You can also check it out on the ABC 10 Plus app. Questions for you two.
Yeah, I wonder what Disney jail is truly like. Is it like Mickey and Goofy, like, where is she? Pounding on the table.
Exactly. Mickey's the one that frisks you. Okay, hit your pockets. You two, spirit zoo animals. What is your spirit zoo animal?
Ooh, a cheetah.
A cheetah? Oh, good one.
Yeah.
Good one.
A wolf.
Great.
I love wolves.
I guess I should say why. Cheetah why and wolf why?
That's a great question. That's what came to mind.
All right, yeah.
Lone wolf,
Yeah,
howling in the night. Yeah, it's kind of me.
There you go.
I don't know.
I'm going to continue. So I got follow-up questions next hour.
Well, it's one of the most iconic streets in California, but man, does it have some curves and sharp turns. Well, I hope you got your brakes checked because this road is a doozy. John Bartel here, making a little pit stop in San Francisco on Lombard Street. It's been dubbed the crookedest street in the world, and every year more than 1 million visitors drive, walk, or take the cable car just to see it. In all, there's 8 hairpin turns that take commuters down Russian Hill, which is one of the most scenic views in the northeastern part of the city. Well, if you're wondering why Lombard Street is so crooked, the reason has to do with safety. Back in the 1920s, when the developers built this road, they decided it would be safer to have a crooked winding road than a straight road. Russian Hill has a steep grade of about 27%, and in the 1920s, most cars were not powerful enough to climb the hill. The solution, though, was windy switchbacks, which reduced the grade to a drivable 16 degrees. This is not technically the most crooked street in the world. In fact, Lombard Street isn't the crookedest in the city. If you go down on Vermont Street in between 20th and 22nd, that road is even more crooked. And every Easter, people get on those plastic big wheels and they'll race down that crooked street. Lombard Street didn't gain popularity with tourists until about the 1960s, after it started showing up on postcards like this. The curved road even made an appearance in the 1969 film Love Bug, but as you can see, Kirby the Love Bug is taking those corners pretty fast. From the crooked and very steep streets in San Francisco, I'm John Bartel. Hope to see you on the backroads.
Thank you so much for watching ABC 10 Plus this week. We are here 24/7 on the free ABC 10 Plus TV streaming app. You can get your local news and your weather anytime, anywhere. I'm Alex Bell. Take care, and I'll see you next time.